new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire, the no-show. Who set you back because they didn't show up on day one, or day two, or ever again. And now your product launch is delayed because you're talking to alien abduction podcasters to track them down. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can help make sure your next hire sticks. In fact, businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
I've been in this library for 6 hours. I'm out of snacks and energy. Plus, I just realized I forgot to put deodorant on.
Oh, girl, you're a mess. Let's run to Target.
Let's RTT.
We'll grab some protein chips, body spray, and deodorant.
And we get 20% off with Target Circle, so we can get those great face masks for our self-care Sundays.
I love an SCS.
Let's get out of here.
College students get 20% off their next purchase with Target Circle. Subject to terms. Visit target.com/circle for more details.
Well, it's a very good morning. Racing back. I think it's episode 61, but I've sort of lost track of it. Me and Jules, we just keep ploughing on, don't we? But right, there's a drought in England at the moment, but it's about to end. I'll tell you why. Because it's the British Grand Prix at Silverstone this weekend, and if ever the weather needed to change, they're crying out for rain. This is the weekend it will, because the weather can be pretty indifferent at Silverstone, and in the past on the Isle of Man it was the British Round, and even at Donington Park. Today's guest is a very special friend, but he's somebody who's been to every single British Grand Prix on the mainland and won on the Isle of Man when it was the British Round of the World Championship. A very, very warm welcome to Dr. Martin Rains. Rainsy, good morning.
Good morning. Great to see you. Yeah. Great to be back on again. After all the great guests you've had on recently, there have been some fantastic guests you've had on.
Well, you're right up there with them. I
thank you.
Where do we start with the British Grand Prix? Well, the weather. Come on, let's start about it's had its weather, hasn't it, the British Grand Prix?
Oh, it has had its weather, and there's been times where I've been stood there just like under a shower. There's been times where it's been really, really wet. But we have had some nice ones as well, nice weather ones. But some of the wet weather ones actually are the more memorable, perhaps.
I think the second ever one, wasn't it? In the old days where it was stopwatches and notepads, I think the lap scores, it rained so hard, lost track. Is that a fair way of putting it?
I think some people think they lost track. I'm not so sure whether they actually did quite a decent job under the circumstances. And that again was very strange situation, because it was an era of great change, really. We're talking about 1978, and the slick tyres hadn't been about so long. I think they'd been about 4 or 5 years. And of course, some of the old guys thought that slick tyres would never work. Some of the guys, because they didn't have tread on. No. And there'd been no real strategy for if it rained halfway through the race. They had wet tyres and dry and slick tyres. And so there have been some wet races since slicks have been introduced, but none where the weather changed halfway through the race. So it was absolute chaos. I don't think the riders knew what to do. I don't think the officials knew what to do. But of course, people started coming into the pits and to change. And it was Kenny Roberts that perhaps benefited from the fact that he'd only had one bike that year. And during the practice sessions, they would come in and they'd change the wheels on Kenny's bike.
Yeah.
Kel Carruthers, you remember, his team manager, his team chief. And they got so they could change the wheels and tyres in less than 3 minutes, which was quite a feat in those days, because it wasn't easy. So they did it in about 3 minutes. I think Barry Sheen, who, of course, was a bit of a wet weather maestro, really, took him 7 minutes, because they weren't used to doing it. So when he went out, he was far behind, he unlapped himself, and was perhaps lapping maybe 10 seconds a lap faster than everyone else, but didn't quite make it to the front. But I think he thought he had one when he stood on the podium.
And a certain Steve Manship, who,
Yes.
let's be honest, is a super rider in England, but not well known as a Grand Prix rider, definitely thought he'd won, didn't he?
He did think because he'd gone all the way through the race. Well, he was one who'd gone through the race without coming into the pits to change his wheels, tyres, because he started on intermediates. He'd guessed the weather. I don't know whether he guessed the weather, or perhaps being a poor privateer, that might have been. He didn't have any choice. No option to race on those.
I'm not going in to spend money. I'm going to keep going.
But of course, he was a top rider. He had been a British champion. So So he finished second and Barry third. Yeah. So that was the second year. Of course, we're jumping ahead really. The first year, 1977, was for me going. It was a fantastic event because, of course, before then our round of the championship had been in the Isle of Man, the TTs. And of course, the change. There were lots of change in that era. The change from the road circuits to the purpose-built circuits, and it was great to go to an event. Like I've got the program here, and just looking down, we've got the program here. Looking down the list of entrants is just fantastic, and people we'd never got the chance to see in Britain.
Yes.
And that was it. We'd read about them. They were almost legends in their own lifetime because all we did was we read about them. John Brown at the time would write in the Motorcycle News, and we'd not seen them. And it was just incredible feeling, I think, as a race enthusiast to turn up and seeing, particularly in the smaller classes, the Angel Nitos, the Lazzarinis, Guy Bertin, and these sort of people. Some of the other riders like Tepe Lansavuri and Agoa and so on occasionally appeared in the UK in the end of season internationals. But it was great to see them all, assembled together. You felt like you were going to a big event, and a lot of the privateers like the Olivier Chevaliers, the Patrick Fernandez, and those sort of people who were the backbone of what was called the Continental Circus, and we got to see them for the first time, and I think it was fantastic to go there.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, and I've still got my ticket from there. You see, I don't throw anything away.
You don't, do you?
How much did it cost you, Ranger? I bet you know that.
Absolutely. I was in the Woodcote stands, so this is £3 that cost to get in. Of course,
I was in Stowe Grandstand.
Ah, right. Yeah. So it
was at a motocross race. God, and we nearly saw a British winner, didn't we? Oh my God. And there never has been a British winner in the Premier class.
No.
And it should have come at that very first Grand Prix.
It could. I think we all went along like assuming that Barry Sheen would win because he dominated that season. As usual, he didn't get a great start, but that was nothing new. He would, cruise around in midfield for a while, but I think it was on about the 10th lap. The egg gasket blew, which wasn't uncommon on those RG500 Suzukis, and then there was Steve Parrish got to the front when the bit of rain came late in the race, and then he crashed, and then John Williams, of course, a privateer who'd also been in the factory Suzuki team previously, and then he crashed, and we ended up with Pat Ennan, American winner. But
that was it. That was it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And we had to wait a few years before Ian McConaughey.
Yes.
Was that a
80cc?
80cc,
Yep.
And I think that was about 1983, was it, Jules? I've got a bit of a list here.
But they held the race on a
Saturday, didn't they?
On a Saturday.
Cars, didn't they?
It was. It was 1986 when he won, and it was held on a Saturday. It was the last one at Silverstone before they went to Donington for a while. And yes, there was not many people there really. Because
there wasn't. It was freezing cold, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And
that was usual.
And I watched from the inside of Stowe because I had a pass by this time.
Oh, right.
And I went down with Jeff Johnson of fond memory.
Oh,
who said, "Well, I'm not interested in these really. I'll watch the start and then I'll bugger off back to the paddock." And in about 2 laps, he was, they're real racing things, aren't they? Proper, and he was riveted, and even more so when Barry Sheen appeared down there as well to watch. It was, oh, hello, it's, and so he had a good audience. But the ruddy telly, the BBC showed they showed the 1-2-5s on Sunday. It was a strange bit of organisation, as was usual in those times, because McConaughey was always a good bet to be up the front of the 80s. He was, a forgotten British hero, in my view, an absolutely superb small bike racer.
Yeah. His dad was a heart surgeon, wasn't he? Was his dad a heart surgeon?
He was a consultant.
Consultant. That's right.
And lived in the Peak District near Ashton.
I think he went against Team Orders, if I'm not mistaken, because he was in the team with Stefan Dorflinger.
Yes.
And I think that Dorflinger was leading the championship. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he was the most popular winner in the team.
No.
But of course, having the chance to win his own Grand Prix. As you said, Jules, he was a top rider. In fact, the following year at Donington, he came second behind Jorge Martinez. So it wasn't a flash in the pan.
Absolutely not. And it was Jorge Martinez whose front tyre marks he had up his leathers when he got to the podium. Aspar had a good go at him, a proper go at him, and McConaughey fought him off.
Yeah.
I suppose we talk about Silverstone and great races. I think the one that everybody in Britain remembers, because it was live on television.
Exactly.
And it was the Barry Sheen, Kenny Roberts battle, in 1979, which was epic, wasn't it? Epic. And Murray Walker, the legendary commentator on Formula One, but a bike man through and through. This commentary is just epic.
Just the most wonderful. And I watched that from the grandstand at Woodcote, Martin.
I was there as well, yes. Yeah.
I think because I had a female with me, I can't remember, probably. But the thing I remember most is the man who was third, Will Hartog.
Yes.
And his, on the PA on the podium was the best man van. I could not have any faster gone.
This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at Accenture.com/Spotify.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire, the no-show. Who set you back because they didn't show up on day 1, or day 2, or ever again. And now your product launch is delayed because you're talking to alien abduction podcasters to track them down. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can help make sure your next hire sticks. In fact, businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
And I thought we like the Dutch trio were very popular anyway, but he was a well-liked man. But it was the most fabulous race, and the last charge around the outside at Woodcote. Oh my God! The sort of move you never ever forget.
Yeah,
ultimately unsuccessful, but my Lord.
Yeah,
I think that was it, Jules. It was one of the best races I've ever seen. It was fantastic. Yes. But ultimately, the most disappointing in that it was so close. It was about 0.03 of a second. And perhaps the closest finish at the time, except for the Sheen, Agostini.
Ago at Assen, yeah.
Getty to Assen.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic race. And like me, Jules, you'll remember all the Dutch fans also in the Woodcut stand.
Yes.
Every time Will Hartog, there was always a good Dutch contingent there in that.
Yeah, there was always coach trips came over.
Yeah.
Harris
Vice versa, wasn't it? We'd go to
Harris.
Assen and they'd come to...
Yeah.
But of course they had a winner, didn't they? Jack Middleburg was a surprise winner, wasn't he?
Yeah.
The Grand
More
Prix.
history. The last ever true privateer win.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to define privateer in that he bought his own motorbike.
Yeah.
And that was 1981. And he stood on the podium with Kenny Roberts and Randy Mamola that day. So it wasn't a fluke win. He absolutely won that race. It was a surprise, perhaps, but he did the business. It was, as you said, Jules, the very last full privateer win in the Premier class.
It was. And by the way, none of us complained about Silverstone being bad for spectators, in my memory.
No, it was...
No, I enjoyed Silverstone. I always thought that Silverstone, it felt like a big event. It felt like you were going to a World Championship event.
Yes.
I think it was well organised. Getting in and out was okay. Donington had some advantages, but I've always quite liked going to Silverstone because of the feel of the event. It is a bit sprawled out. That if you want to walk from one part of the circuit to the other, it's a long way. But
that is true, but that sort of happens on all airfield circuits, doesn't it? They're big. But a wonderful circuit. And the old cliche, fast circuits make for great racing. And Silverstone holds up as a major example of that.
I think Silverstone was the obvious choice. Like, I'm not so sure how many circuits could have taken the British Grand Prix onto the mainland. Maybe Brands Hatch.
I think that there was probably not then, but there was safety reasons, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't know if that would have been of that. Well, I'd say not that importance, but that would have been. But it switched to Donington, in 1987, as Jules alluded to. I mean, motorcycle fans say, "Oh, Donington," and we love Donington. Don't get me wrong; it had closer racing, everything else. I don't think it did. I think Silverstone has produced closer races than Donington.
In the modern era as well, when we went back to Silverstone, the Marquez Rins, etc., we've seen great racing at Silverstone. Name me a truly great race we saw at Donington. I don't mean freak occurrences like Voldman's wonderful win on a changing surface in the 250s. A straightforward, great race. And I don't think we saw many.
I don't think we've seen many, and I think maybe it's the wet weather that has created that. Like I think Ross's first win was 2000. That was a good race in 2000 with Jeremy Williams, but that was the weather again. But I think in a straightforward race at Donington, I agree with you, Jules, that normally Silverstone provides better racing and closer racing. We saw that last year. There was a couple of good races, not in the MotoGP class, but in the other two classes. Yeah. I thought it was a really good event last year. I very much enjoyed it with the close racing in the other classes.
Yes, I mean, there were glorious sights at Donington. A field going down Craner curves in the sunshine is just a glorious sight to behold.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't mean the racing is going to be closer than Silverstone.
Yeah. So why did it switch then? Why did it switch? I think poor crowds. Why did it switch to Donington? Donington was the in place, wasn't it? Robert Furnell was doing an amazing job there.
Furnell was an extremely good businessman.
Yeah.
And I suspect he out-businessed Silverstone. I think it's almost as simple as that.
Yeah. I don't think they was poor crowds. I think it might have been decent crowds that changed it to Donington. I think because, Donington wanted it because of the good crowds, because it attracted good crowds back in those days. Going back to your Craner curves, I think one I remember is the Rainey win, his first ever win. I think that was like as you said, not necessarily close racing, but some memorable wins.
Yeah.
And Rainey, though, with, if I'm not mistaken, the first win with carbon brakes.
Exactly right. And he knew what he had to do if he could get to Redgate first and use the easy steering he suddenly had with much lighter front end, less physical exercise, he could disappear, and he did.
He did.
It was not a good race, but it was an absolutely historic race.
Absolutely, it was because of that, because it sort of started the trend, didn't it, towards the carbon brakes.
Yeah, with AP Lockheed, British Company, British Engineering.
Yeah. Fly the flag, come on. Yeah.
Well, we can't very often, so let's do it.
No, absolutely right. So we have flown the flag at Donington, though, and I think, I wouldn't say the biggest surprise win, but it came absolutely out of the blue. Scott Redding, when he won that 125cc race. Is he still the youngest ever Grand Prix winner, Rainsy? He was at the time.
He's not. If you remember, the very, very last race that he could have the record taken away from him, he did have the record taken away from him, which was Can On Chu, who raced as a wild card at Valencia. And it was his Grand Prix debut. But of course, he'd raced there the week before, I think, in similar conditions in the Spanish Championship or something that. And he won the race. And after that, the age rules changed. Yep. So that was the last ever race that Scott Redding could lose that record. And he did. And he did lose that record.
That's got to be galling. I mean, no disrespect to Bob Chu, who was brilliant at Valencia.
But he just came out of the blue, didn't it?
But he did.
Redding win. Yeah, I think we were looking for Bradley Smith at least to finish on the podium and, perhaps secure a British win. And Scott Redding, 15 and a half, who we see.
Well, he came out of the blue.
Out of nowhere.
He came out of the blue full stop. Because remember going to Qatar for the first race of the year? And he qualified on the front row. And I'm sat there going, hang on, he's English. What the hell? Who is this?
Yeah.
I've never heard of him.
He was the youngest ever guy to qualify in a front row at that race. So he did. It was a fantastic how he burst on the scene in that way. And then if you remember, who came second and third in that race?
Marquez third.
Marquez was third. Mike DiMeglio, I think, was second.
Oh, right.
Youngest ever podium.
World champion.
That's it, Jules. Jules has got the stat in.
I've read the book.
Oh, well done.
In terms of combined age. It was
combined age, youngest ever podium. And it was Marquez's first podium.
Yeah.
He'd missed the start of the season, hadn't he?
I think he had, yes. And then, but he didn't maybe burst on the scene as much as Scott Redding did that season.
No.
I'm not surprised. I think he just got that one podium that first season.
Yeah, I know. Scott was the bolt from the blue because we'd never seen him on a British track. He'd been in Spain.
Yeah,
he was one of the pioneers of the new way. Mm-hmm. And of course, us insular Brits went, "Who the hell is that kid?"
That's right. It was,
and he was. And I've always liked Scott. I've always thought he didn't follow anybody. And he had his own wide sweeping line into turn one, much higher and wider, like a dirt tracker out in the cushion rather than in the groove. And I thought, this kid, what?
Yeah. And he's still doing it. He was a weekend at Oldham, wasn't he? Still performing.
Yes, he was. Good, really good to see.
Still a difficult man to beat.
Yes.
Yeah. As you said, year 2000, it was tell you this is interesting because I just started working for Dorner and they were really worried about crowds at the British Grand Prix. There was 18,000 that weekend for the British Grand Prix. Yeah. Julian and Keith were going full belt at Brands in front of 65,000 at the British Superbikes. But of course, Rossi won. And it was the start of the revolution.
I was also there because I converted to Eurosport that year, so it was me.
Of course you did, you finished,
and we just lost Joey, so I have this image in my head, the indelible image of McWilliams with the Ulster flag with the black ribbon.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the first ever programme of the first ever one, and you mentioned Joey Dunlop, and it surprised me looking down that Joey Dunlop is listed as starting both the 250 and 350 race in that first ever Grand Prix.
On Yamahas or Yamaha?
He will be on Yamahas, I would think. Yamaha, for Ray Racing, as he did, and so he's listed as starters 250 and 350 there.
But Rossi obviously liked Donington. What, they had 5 wins there, and everything seemed, the crowds are getting bigger. The Rossi factor had kicked into certainly into Great Britain, as it done throughout the world. But then 2010, it was back at Silverstone, and I think that was more political reasons than anything else, wasn't it? With Donington more interested in Formula One at the time.
Donington was it swapped ownership, didn't it? And there was all sorts of, as you say, political shenanigans. I remember Rossi at a press conference, I think in Brno. I'd asked a question about something about, swapping to Silverstone at the Thursday press conference. And Rossi actually buttonholed me and said, "Is it true? Is this going to happen?" And he wanted to stay at Donington because he knew he would win at Donington.
Absolutely.
And then he went to Silverstone and won, basically. And I asked him a question, and he said, "I said, you wanted to go back to Donington?" "No, I don't care."
And Dovi won his first. Dovizioso won his first.
He did
at the last race at Donington. That was in dodgy weather conditions.
It was changeable weather, and Dovi followed Rossi for most of the race. Rossi fell off coming into the into Fogarty's, got back on, I think, to finish 5th, and then provided one of the best interviews I've ever heard that exposes the true nature of a motorcycle racer. And Rossi said, "Anyway, I prove again I am the fastest. I will charge Dovizioso for the lesson." I didn't lose. I just happened to finish 5th, with the...
But we had some good British, didn't we? Good British performances at Donington, Rainsy. Neil McKenzie.
We did. Neil McKenzie, he finished on the podium, didn't he? And
Fogarty rode, didn't he?
Wildcard Foggy.
In fact, I think Foggy rode twice, didn't he? He rode once on the one of the Yamahas.
Was it the mid race? Was it mid racing?
No, I don't. Didn't he replace Chile?
He did. Of course, he did on a Honda.
On Honda it was, wasn't it? Yes, it was on Honda, yes.
And was miserable because the team wouldn't let him bloody bolt on the foot pegs or handlebars or...
Absolutely. And then he raced the Cagiva. And in fact, the very race that Niall Mackenzie finished 3rd, I think he passed Foggy at the last corner.
Basically, was it... running out of, it was misfiring.
He was running out of fuel. It was
fuel shortage. Yes, that's what we believe.
Yeah. I think one of the ones I remember most at Donington was Simon Crafer in 1990.
I'm just going to say Simon,
I think that was a surprise. Like, Simon was a great rider and all that, but he hadn't really shown that he was going to win a Grand Prix. And he started the race, and of course McDowan was the man then who dominated everything. And everybody, I think we all thought, well, it's just a matter of time before McDowan gets in his stride and catches him. But he didn't. He just drove away and won from start to finish at a canter. Really, it was an absolutely superb performance.
And I think there is somewhat of a false narrative about it being a tyre race.
Yes.
Yeah.
There were plenty of other people on Dunlops.
Absolutely, Jules. Yeah, there were. Yeah. But he was the one that made the most of it, and it clearly suited his style, and he got away at the start and just, he just made the most of it.
Wasn't it?
It was immaculate.
It wasn't a good race, but it was a historic race.
Again,
His one and only win, wasn't it, Simon?
Yes, it was. Yeah. Because I think the team, he did finish on the podium, I think, later in the season, but then the team went to Michelin's, I think, the following season.
Yes, and he couldn't get off.
It didn't quite suit his style.
Yeah. It was, there's been some... there's always been interest at Donington and spectacle, but not the sort of high-speed, breathtaking racing you get on a track like Silverstone.
Absolutely, yeah.
We've had some British winners at Silverstone, again, in the smaller classes, haven't we? Scott Redding has won at both, hasn't he?
Yeah. And I think it was 2013 when he looked like he possibly will get win the World Championship there, that he won, and that was great. In fact, we had quite a split there then, and then a couple of years later we had Danny Kent win. Both tremendous. The spectators were. I think that really what the spectators like, isn't it? Seeing some of that British interest. And I'm afraid at the moment, we're not getting great crowds, and we're probably as far away as we've ever been from seeing those sort of performances.
Yes. Although it will be nice to see Cam Crutchlow going around Silverstone again.
It certainly will. Yes.
Obviously.
I'm not so sure, Jules. I'm not so sure. It'd be lovely, and he chased so hard to win that race and brought so much success to Britain. And for me, as just a fan, I find it a bit sad that he'd be at the back of the field. He's doing brilliantly. I'm not.
That is a proper.
But I think oh dear,
proper racer's view. I think Martin should explain the T-shirt now.
Yeah.
Yes, the T-shirt.
Yeah, Barry Sheen T-shirt. Come on, Ray.
I've got my Barry Sheen T-shirt on. Well, I think one of the reasons that Silverstone was chosen for the Grand Prix is they had been running a bit of one-off big bike event each year.
Yes.
Actually, starting in the early 70s, they had the likes of Jarno Saarinen race there. They did attract some of the good continental stars. And then in 1973, it went to a Formula 750 race, which was a precursor to the 750cc World Championship that came along a few years later. So it was a European championship, Formula 750 Championship. And that was my first visit to Silverstone. And I bought this Barry Sheen T-shirt then. So the T-shirt is 53 years old. So,
have you been keeping that in museum conditions or something?
I look after it. It's only
the second time he's ever worn it.
The other time was his wedding.
My good lady wife hand washes it. She knows how precious it is. So
did she iron it before you came on today?
I do the ironing, don't we? Actually, she did remind me that when I put it on for this, I went to show her. She said, "You were wearing that T-shirt when we first met."
Oh my God!
That's a good excuse.
She thought you were Barry Sheen, right?
No, her first words to me was, "Who is Barry Sheen?"
That wouldn't have been a good start.
That gave you an intro for talking.
Absolutely. So it's been a 52-year education, actually. She certainly knows now.
The woman's a saint, I say.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
So you've been to every single one, Randy. How many is that?
Well, this one will be 49. It was. It should have been the 50, of course, 50th consecutive. That's at the mainland. It should have been 50, but of course we missed one with COVID. And I always thought after 50 I might hang up my Barry Sheen T-shirt and no. But I'm going to have to go one more year now to make it.
That's right.
You are.
Yeah. We look at Silverstone, and you did touch on it, Rainsy. No, there are worries about the future there. The crowds are not good. What do you, as a fan rather than commercially, what do you think the future holds?
Here's your report.
Oh, thanks, Jane. I wish I could hire someone just like you.
Try LinkedIn Hiring Pro. It's more than a job board. It's like the recruiter you always wished you had. Hiring Pro uses real-time insights to match your role to LinkedIn's unique network of professionals and delivers a short list of best fit candidates. You'll spend less time sorting applicants and more time talking to the right people.
Let's do it. You're irreplaceable, Jane, but another you would be great.
Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
I've been in this library for 6 hours. I'm out of snacks and energy. Plus, I just realized I forgot to put deodorant on.
Oh, girl, you're a mess. Let's run to Target.
Let's RTT.
We'll grab some protein chips, body spray, and deodorant.
And we get 20% off with Target Circle so we can get those great face masks for our self-care Sundays.
I love an SCS.
Let's get out of here.
College students get 20% off their next purchase with Target Circle. Subject to terms. Visit target.com/circle for more details.
I think it's difficult because I think there is there's a lack of British riders, and I think that has a great effect. I think the other countries which perhaps suffer from the same, like say the Dutch Grand Prix, they've made it into Germany. They've made it into an event somehow where people want to go to.
Yes.
I think that's what needs to happen at Silverstone. I think they have tried, but I think it's difficult to do that, to take it beyond a fact that it's a motorcycle race and to make it into an event that people just want to be there. Because it certainly worked in Germany. Like France, it's worked, and I know they have actually had some riders recently, but it was an event even before the current spate of top riders in France came along. How they do that is beyond me. I don't know. I think it's really a really difficult task.
Dr. Martin Rains, what is it, 49 British Grand Prix. He was also telling us he did go to the Isle of Man once to see the World Championship round. It rained and rained and rained, and he was camping with his brother. Didn't sound like a very... He said, I never went back.
So those of you who remember,
won that race, didn't he? Yeah.
It was the Phil Carpenter years, 74.
Yeah.
So, that was a hideous week of weather.
So Silverstone, interesting what the future holds, and one hopes the British Grand Prix will continue on the mainland, and I think it will. I think it's important to everybody connected with MotoGP. There is a Grand Prix in Great Britain, and as we've touched on many times, Jules, in what we've been going nearly a year and a bit now, it needs British riders in the World Championship, doesn't it?
It's you want to know how to fill a racetrack, look at the Fogarty years in World Superbike, Brands Hatch. Yes, I know Le Mans was always a great event, but when other tracks are struggling, Le Mans is sold out every day.
Yeah.
Quartararo and Zarco.
Yeah, and brilliantly promoted as well. But
Le Mans has a history with Claude Michy. Absolutely beautifully organised, well thought out entertainment through the whole weekend for the fans.
Yeah, 4 motorcyclists.
Completely.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing to remember. Well, good luck, British Grand Prix. I hope we have an absolute... I mean, they've just done it hasn't rained at all in this part of the world, which is very near Silverstone, at all in July. It's the hottest ever month, the sunniest ever month since the records began. It will all end over the weekend because it's Silverstone. Let's hope it stays dry for everybody there. And let's hope it's a really, really good event because it's a fabulous racetrack.
And we'd like to hear your opinions on the Donington Silverstone debate always.
Yeah, very much so. We'd like to hear your opinions also on the T-shirts. It's in hand, but we want to know if you think that you would purchase one and wear one. Dr. Martin Rains won't, because he's not going to replace his Barry Sheen 1973 T-shirt. And his wife said, "Who's Barry Sheen?" That would be the end of our relationship, wouldn't it, Jules?
Wouldn't have helped.
So don't forget, tickets for all motorsport events, 2 or 4 wheels, 3 wheels, whatever, you really want to buy tickets. Motorsporttickets.com. Q code will come up on the screen, but it really helps us if you do buy your tickets through that source.
And it also helps us if you subscribe on whichever platform you get your podcasts from. It just helps us creep up the algorithms, as I believe young people say today. And join them. If you want to get early access and a few goodies, you can join the Paddock Club. That will cost you a coffee a month or something, though, so beware.
And we probably sense we're not nervous, a bit apprehensive, because hopefully this afternoon Frederick Burdett Spencer will be recording with us for 2 editions of Racing Back. We'll keep you up to date with that. We hope, above hope, that we have the first edition next week with the one and only, the great Freddie Spencer.
I'm not giving up. I am selling the building.
The final season of FX's The Bear.
The restaurant is flooded.
Everything's either going to be okay.
No, stop!
Or not.
We are outgunned and we are outmanned, but we have each other.
FX's The Bear, the final season. All episodes now streaming on Disney+.